This show is proudly brought to you by the #Me Network. Access granted.
Kia ora and welcome, and thanks so much for tuning in to our 23rd episode of Access Granted, our weekly tech and media podcast. I'm Raj, my background's in film design, media and technology, amongst other things.
And I'm Mike, my background is information wrangling, connecting people and getting things done. You're here because you're a Kiwi that either works in or has a great passion for tech or media in New Zealand.
Episode 23, let's get into it. But this week, I want to get the lowdown on what that Hack Miramar was all about. So this week, I wanted to catch up with Mike about something that's quite near and dear to his heart.
Yep.
And that's something he's been organising for how long?
I think it took about 2 months, probably 2.5 months.
2 months, wow.
Of us meeting over beers.
Yep.
So what is it? It was the Hack
So
Miramar.
what basically happened last weekend?
Yes, so on Sunday the 1st and Saturday, 1st and 2nd of November, it was yesterday. I'm knackered.
It was too,
So
yeah.
my brain is a bit mushy
We are
still.
recording on a Monday, so that's right, yeah. I forgot what day it was.
So
So what did it entail? So basically you organised a bunch of geekery alumni to come down to Hack and Miramar.
yeah,
And
so
what was the reason behind it?
So we had a hackathon, and there were 3 of us that arranged it. Myself, Ian Appley, and Ben Wild, and we called up 2.5 months ago at the Strathmore local. And first beer was "Hello, this is who I am." Second beer was "We should do something to show everybody that the peninsula can do it for itself. Communities can do it for themselves. We don't have to do handouts from councils or governments. And the third one was, what are we going to do then? Are we going to have an event, a hackathon? So I took the guys through what a hackathon was, and we had the focus on transport to and from the peninsula into CBD.
So how did you get the actual data that's needed for that kind of thing?
We asked lots of people very
Right.
nicely and said, can we have data?
So it's available, right? It's public data, or can you have to do a few things?
Yes and no. So to get a hackathon, all you need is a venue. So the first one was, can we find a venue that's going to host us? So Thomas, who has a company called Helfen in Miramar, and he's the chairman of the Miramar Bid, said, I've got a whole floor you can have for the weekend. That was great. We picked a date, and we just picked the date Saturday and Sunday because that suited us in our calendars. We got a logo, and we had the challenge, which is transport. Those 4 things mean that you can have any event you want. So we had
That's
those.
a recipe for an event.
Yes, so we had those. Then we went to get three ingredients for our particular event, and that was people.
Oh, I thought you were going to say beer and chocolate. Never mind.
Beer and
Carry
chocolate. There was beer and chocolate. So people. And we focused quite specifically on tech people, to be fair. And through just myself and Ian's contacts, we just went to everybody. I trawled around town, going to the Fronds and the Optimations, and also all of the slightly cooler companies, the Rabid and the Inspiral guys. We just went and saw everybody to say, this event's on and we'd love you to come. It's a free event, of course, so no one has to pay.
So how many did you have down there?
We had around 30, we think.
Yeah.
30 people.
So a
it's
nice little classroom of geekery.
Yeah. And then the second ingredient we needed for this particular one, because it was around transport and what could we do with tech, was data, as you say. So we just went to everybody and said, can we have data for the event? So we went to the airport, and whilst we didn't get APIs into their data, they say scrape whatever you like off the website.
Wow.
Someone did. We got a whole bunch of people that collected data. We put up some used social pinpoint, which is a wonderful community engagement tool, which is a map and people can put around a particular subject of transport. People can leave comments, so we used that. And then we went to the council and said, you've probably got a ton of data. And the council, in the way that they supported us, was to ensure that Sean, their data wizard, would work with us, and he did brilliantly. He loved it.
You had no pushback from anyone?
No.
Because, data's sensitive, isn't it? Right? So
Data's data, mate. It's not sensitive.
Yeah, well, some people are sensitive to giving it away or not charging you for it or whatever.
Yeah.
So, do you have any obstacles like that? Or people are just happy to help out?
We had council data. We had people who said, "Get the data yourself. We're not going to help you." And then we had a company called Aeroflow that the council are doing a trial for Bluetooth sensing. And Aeroflow said, "Look, we'll put up some sensors for you in Miramar and also give you all the data for Wellington." So that was journey times, between point A and point B. How long does it take? Type stuff. So we had commercial entities, and there were some others like that. Commercial entities, the council. The biggest one that we just could not get at was the bus information.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't respond to our calls or want to play really. So that was the biggest one.
To be honest, it's probably still faxes and paper at the moment.
No, I don't know what it is. Anyway, so we couldn't get that. We didn't think we would. But that was a pain. But that led to an outcome, of course.
Yeah,
so we got
something.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had the people, the data.
Yeah.
We also, the other thing that, particularly for Ben's a big cyclist and he's the chairman of some cycling advocacy groups. And in Miramar itself, on the peninsula, there's a lot of cycling routes. So he wanted to see how they could use data to improve probably business cases. And when people say, "Oh, we use this track," or "It's not very good," it's like, well, yeah, that's just people talking.
Yeah, but
How do we improve it? How do we improve that? So he brought together a whole bunch of people that could use Arduinos, and we had a guy from Andrew Thornblower came down from Taranaki, and there was a whole bunch of people that were just doing hardware. Okay. That were then pinging stuff. You saw lots of pictures, and there's lots of pictures. People riding their bikes
the Twitter
around.
stream, and there's all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah. So that was the three things we had. We brought everyone together, and to be fair, we opened the doors finally once we could get in. We opened the doors to our floor, and it was urban chic, should we call it?
Oh, right.
It was concrete, empty concrete office.
So it's a blank canvas.
It was a blank canvas. Boost New Media, they stepped up and had sponsored us for tables and chairs. We did know that we were going to need them.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you need somewhere to sit.
That's right. NZ Wireless provided the internet, and it was fantastic. We got food, nibbles, coffee, all of that was sponsored. Council came to pay the food. Catalyst also provided some cloud instances for us, so people could have somewhere not just to store their data, but they had grunty machines to get through all this data.
Cool. Yeah.
So that was fantastic. And they also, as you say, provided the beer.
Beer's important.
It was fantastic. So we all walked in. There was, say, 30 people, didn't know each other. Hardly anybody knew anybody.
Okay.
We went through the process of I stood on the chair and told everybody this is how it's all going to work. We went through the challenges, some yellow stickies, grouped them together. And within an hour and a half, we had 5 teams that had found their homes, made it their own, and they worked on whatever they worked on.
So what kind of things did they end up doing? Because you had specific niche skill sets within these teams, right? So some would be more web-orientated, some would be app-orientated, data-orientated, whatever, right?
We had some Android developers, we had some web people, we had some database type people, or data geeks, we had obviously the hardware people. We also had some policy people and some community advocates. And they all split up into 5 teams. So what do we get? We got the first one was the hardware, and they wanted to monitor cyclists. Okay. So they came up with very cheap Arduino monitoring. You know when you go on roads and they've got the two tubes go across the roads and they're checking speeds and whatever, and counting. Well, they reckon they're about $3,000 each.
Wow.
So they made one that would cost between $250, $300.
What, use a garden hose or something?
They used, actually, they went down to the vets and got some aquarium hose when they realised they didn't have any.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
That was fantastic. So, and they're going to put their stuff out on Mount Vic. There's a trial. They're going to put it in Miramar. And so if you're a cyclist, it's going to start pinging you. And they're actually going to add in some radar sense stuff over a jump so that when you go over it, it will then sense that you've done a jump and take a picture.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that clever?
Yeah.
And they ran out of time, they were trying to then work out how that, using either Bluetooth or some technology, get that to then be sent to your phone.
Oh, a picture. It's like the end of the Disney ride.
That's
and
right.
it catches your picture and you go,
That's
hey!
Yep.
That's a great idea.
All for about $300.
Straight into your phone. Don't even have to stop. You just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
smart.
that's what they came out with.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. We then had another team and all of this stuff, by the way, is all of what they did and what they came out with is on the wiki. So it's hack-miramar.wikispaces.com. go there, and then all of the teams had a page, and they put up their own what this is. Some of them have linked to GitHub for the code because it was all open source. The other one was Taxi Pool. Their idea was, well, traffic from the peninsula is highly affected by when airplanes arrive. Everyone then gets into a taxi. Every one person gets into one taxi, off they go into the CBD.
Yeah.
So they came up with an app, which I think is brilliant, which you connect up, you get off the plane, you say, I'm going to this place, and then it will connect up a whole bunch of people that are going to a similar place.
I always wanted one of those.
If you say, okay, and then you taxi share in.
Makes complete sense.
Yeah. And
every time you're at the airport and you're all lined up, you all know you're going to town.
Yeah.
But you don't say anything to anyone.
That's right. This app
and
will do it for you.
split off on your own cab. Everyone pays a stupid amount of money each.
Exactly.
And that just ruins everyone's day.
Yeah, apart from the taxis, of course. So there's that app. The other one was someone actually took the Aeroflow data, and then using a database, and I've forgotten what it's called, but it's on the wiki. It's not a database in a relational database point of view. It's like a node relations database. So you describe nodes. Obviously, in traffic, it's easy. It's this point and to this point. You could use it in relationships. This person knows this person type thing. And the system is built around nodes and relationships. And then you can query it saying, I want to go from here to this point. There are 3 or 4 different ways to go. Based on the Aeroflow data, tell me which way I should go. So that's part of my challenge, which was I'm leaving the peninsula. Everybody gets 3 options when you get to where the Zephyr meter used to be, around the bays, through the tunnel, up and over, which is through Newtown.
Right.
This thing will tell you.
Depending on the time of day and traffic, that kind of thing, or
Real time.
okay.
So it gets the data
Just
every
says,
minute.
there's a whole bunch of cars here.
Yeah.
You should go that way instead.
Don't go that way.
Right.
And it knows. So that was really cool. That was very much a prototype though, but that was really cool to see. 1, 2, 3. I've missed somebody. Hardware, taxi, going around the room. Then there was Ian and myself. We came up with Uber for buses.
Oh, did you?
This was about, we can't get the data from the bus company currently. Well, let's just get every time someone gets onto a bus, they go, I'm on the number 2. And also, the driver's looking happy, sad, angry. And the bus is empty, medium, full. And because I've got my phone and everyone else has got the app, you can see where the bus is.
That's
just like
cool.
Uber, a little bus goes on your map.
Yeah. Little ETA and everything. Yeah, cool.
Well, you can actually see it, and also you can go, okay, that's an angry driver, and it's a full bus. But I can see there's another one behind me.
Yeah.
I'll wait for that
I'll
one.
wait for a couple of minutes and you'll be better experience. Comes
Exactly.
Up.
So that was our one. That was pure concept, but then we had what I called the creative team, the visionary team.
Oh, yeah.
And they came up with some 2 things. One which was, I've forgotten what they called them. Channels of traffic. It was all about all the different ideas that people have about putting in light rail, or as I kept saying to everybody, monorail. Where would they best be? So
Every
if you say,
town needs a monorail.
That's right. If you put monorail places here, this is how long it would take for people to get there. It was a great visualization of all the different options.
Okay.
And then the other side of the team came up with, oh my God, amazing stuff. So we had an underwater tunnel from the Miramar to the CBD, Weddy walkers, which were like big, what were they called? Travelators.
Yeah, like in Kenny Talton.
Yeah.
Right? Under the
That's right.
Little, yeah.
They had get you into Zorbs, and they would blast you into town.
Wow, that'd be the
That
fastest way, wouldn't
that
it?
would be awesome. Imagine, and I said, Monday rush hour would be all these balls bouncing. So they were quite crazy. Having said that, so what else happened? All through the week. So the weekend, people working on these ideas, of course. I made sure that everybody stopped, went and listened and spoke to another team, so that they would cross-pollinate. They did that brilliantly. During the day, Saturday and Sunday, we had a whole bunch of visitors to come and look, and particularly a lot of councillors. So out of 13 Wellington City councillors, 10 of them turned up during the 2 days.
Took an interest, yeah. That's good.
Yep, and we ended up with a Dragon's Den, which was just a focus for them to present. So otherwise it just rambles on. So they had to get to a point where they could present to everyone. And then we went from 30 people to about 60 people in the room. And the Dragon's Den had Celia, the mayor, headed it, and then a whole bunch of councillors, and everyone presented their ideas. and not one team walked away with no one's going to do anything with that. So there was lots of interest from the councillors. So
that's good.
That's excellent. Even the crazy people, I call them the crazy people,
ones.
the visionary people.
Yeah.
That whole having travellators, someone said, well, in the Vic Tunnel, we could put it in there, and then you wouldn't have to have crap, that you could just zip through.
Yeah.
And people go, no, I don't know how much that would cost.
Works for airports.
So they're walking away discussing it. So there you go. So at the end of it, everyone was
So that's sort of the thing, right?
extremely tired.
Everyone, that was our point, right? Everyone started discussing this stuff and maybe coming up with some solutions.
Yeah. So what's going to happen next? Well, we're taking a day off.
Yeah.
But already the emails are flying around from everybody saying,
When's the next
now
one?
what? Well, no, now what with these ideas? So we're starting to make sure that they're connected to people that councillors or there's also a few companies that were represented saying, I'd like to talk to you about that. So we're just making sure that happens. And who knows, you might have some of these apps. The taxi pool one would be excellent. Wouldn't that be brilliant?
That is a good one, yeah. It reminds me of one that had earlier on online, it's a New Zealand site as well, where you almost the carpool site,
Yeah.
You can say it's like social driving, whatever it was. But I never heard anyone really using it.
No, well, the thing about it is this is a very specific problem. Carpooling's sort of generic. This is like, as you get off the plane, of course, you do the deal with Air New Zealand.
Yeah.
It pings you and says, I've arrived. Here's some people that we know are on the flight. Blah, blah, blah. It's a great idea. Anyway, so that was Hat Miramar.
Yeah. Sounds like a long weekend.
It was a very long
2
weekend.
days.
It was a very intense weekend.
Yeah.
I think everyone's sort of sitting back and there's the Hat Miramar look now. I walked around town earlier and I saw a few people and I was like, all right, okay.
But
and then, no, we were all looking a bit shattered. And so the Hat Miramar is in itself a series of events. That was the first one. There's going to be another one probably March time. March 11th is probably when I'll do that. Or will
Same
do that.
sort of thing? Problem solutions, together.
Yeah, exactly the same format, but different focus. We're probably thinking community engagement. How probably using tech can we improve community engagement.
It's not bad. Yeah.
And then there's a wider New Zealand series of hackathons or code camps or whatever they're going to be called that we're going to make sure that we are a part of. And that's going to be announced soon. So.
That's cool.
Communities do it for themselves, mate.
Yeah.
Well, not to the detriment that no, you can't join council or commercial entities. Of course you can.
Yeah. But it's got to start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
It hasn't before.
Yeah.
So it took this to make something happen, right?
So there it is.
Yeah.
So it's all on the website, hack-miramar.wikispaces.com, or there'll be photographs up.
We can just tweet at Mike and Miramar Mike.
Or at Hack Miramar, that's probably the best place to go.
That's a good one.
One of the locals on the peninsula said, look, I'm not a techie at all, I can't do any of this stuff, and I don't care about transport, but it's not my thing, but I'm a photographer. So he came on a Saturday and a Sunday and took a gazillion photographs, so we'll be linking that up as well. Some of them are just brilliant photographs. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's
good to see visuals. I'm a visual guy.
Yeah.
It's always good to see, I was just thinking next time maybe you stream some of it.
We did.
Yeah?
Joe put up. He did a lot of.
Oh, he did a Ustream. Damn, I forgot.
He Ustreamed it.
Right. Yeah.
He Ustreamed the final presentations. I think he lost contact or connection or something went wrong.
Happened,
but he did Ustream most of it just off his phone.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it is a good idea. Absolutely.
Just for those that are out of town or whatever.
Yeah, webcamming up next time, so people just join in.
That'd be a good way because you can have a little forum there. People can suggest their ideas in it.
Yeah.
People take it up when you're on site.
That's right.
This just came in from Invercargill.
Yeah.
Check out this idea.
Absolutely.
What if you dialed it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool. You can get national engagement.
Yes.
Here's how you engage community.
Use
the internet.
It's easy. Use the internet.
Yeah.
So that was it.
That's really cool.
And of course we've chosen interview.
Yeah.
That's going to come up today to go with this is going to be Nathan and Chris. Is that right? Nathan? No.
Jonny Lin.
Jonny, beg your pardon. Jonny and Chris. There was a tech ed.
Yeah. Part of the Intergen team.
Yes. And the reason we chose those for this one is that they talk about the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
And you think
I remember
about
we had that little box of that gizmo came in with.
It was an Arduino, of which Miramar guys had a couple of Arduinos.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. That's why we've joined these two things together. All planned, wasn't it, Raj?
I was, yes. Seamless. We're like a TV station over here. We know what we're doing.
So, but before the interview, let's crack into the events.
Oh yes, I'm going to an event this week. It's Thursday It's a mixture of a mobile developers meetup and the design pro meetup, mashing together up at in Blair Street, where they're going to talk about mobile design and designing specifically for mobile devices.
Oh, okay.
Which is something I'm doing at the moment with a few projects. So it'll be quite interesting. So that's this Thursday. I think it's about 5:30 onwards, or 6 o'clock onwards, up at, I think it's near the end spiral, same sort of building, level 1 up in the same old building as all those guys on Blair Street, yeah. So that's my one. Yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see what they're up to there.
Excellent. Mine's Bitcoin South. So Bitcoin, what do you call it? It's the alternative to dollars.
Digital currency?
Digital currency, yeah. I'm sure everyone's heard about Bitcoin, but Bitcoin South it's great because New Zealand, most people haven't heard of it, but don't know what it is. It's a 2-day conference taking $450 of your dollars, or of course you can pay by Bitcoin.
Can you pay by Dogecoin?
I don't know, probably. It's held in Queenstown on the 29th and 30th of November. It's got an amazing looking lineup of people. I'm very tempted to go down to it, but it's not going to happen. Go to, now listen to this, www.innovationcouncil.org.nz, and then look under there. It's got events for the Bitcoin South. Bitcoin South, standing Queenstown, 29th to 30th of November. Looks very interesting. So that's us. That's the event. That's what we talked about.
You look shattered, Mike. Maybe it's time to turn this phone off.
Let's just turn it off and listen to...
You can go to Nano's.
Yes. Should we listen to Jonny and Chris talking at TechEd? That'd be great.
Awesome. We're here with Jonny Lin and Chris Auld from Intergen. And also Miramar Marcus, of course, is here. You didn't even say hello.
Hello, exactly. And Johnny's got something very fun in front of us, powered by the Intergen of Things. I like it. And Jonny gave a talk yesterday about the Internet of Things. Now, we all heard about hot tubs being the Internet of Things.
Tubs talking out of the hot tubs.
So I'm totally wiring my hot tub up. So I have a hot tub at home.
Excellent.
And it is on my mission to wire that up. I'm desperately seeking a power company that will sell me retail power on a time of use basis, so I can actually take advantage of that, but none of the power companies are quite there.
I just heard about another one on Twitter just now.
Yeah.
Flick. Someone jumped onto Flick just now and got a massive discount. But that's a talk for later.
But yeah, smart home. I mean, smart home is a key category of Internet of Things. What else is interesting? Fitbits. Who's got a Fitbit on? Miramar Mike?
No, because I'm not fit.
You're not fit. Oh, well, forget you're a Fitbit, Miramar Mike. You might get fit.
One day.
Johnny, Fitbit? What gadgetry have you got on you?
Not yet. I got a phone and that's it.
How many IP-connected devices am I wearing today?
They know exactly where you are and what you're doing.
Yes, a smart home, wearables, but I suspect we'll see a whole bunch in like the sort of commercial industrial area.
Do you see it as like it's just happening? Because the Internet of Things as a phrase it's been around and it's sort of been in the tech world, and people talk about it, and my wife goes, what is it? But I feel it's getting closer and closer to the point where she goes, oh, that's that thing you've been talking about. Are we getting to the point where it's starting to happen?
It's another democratisation thing, right? So if you think about the big wave of mobility apps lately, they're certainly not the first mobility apps. I mean, we were doing cool mobility in the sort of late 90s. You know, the couriers have been running around with that stuff for ages. Right? But what's happened is now that everybody's got a smartphone, because smartphones are so cheap, everybody can have apps, right? Same thing with the Internet of Things, right? We've had, remotely monitored sensors, supervisory control and data acquisition systems for donkey's years, like 40 years.
Yes, old donkey years.
I built interesting stuff using radio frequency RS-485 serial networks and shit when I started my career. So, this stuff's been going on for a long time. What's happening now is really about democratisation again.
Yeah.
Right? So, if you think about Moore's Law, obviously gives us faster PCs, blah, 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 blah. But Moore's Law also gives us cheaper chips, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that's going to drive the Internet of Things is cheaper chips and cheap Chinese chip.
Yeah.
Put it together is. Right? So it's cheaper chips for both sort of the computation, cheaper chips for the radio stacks, greater cellular density, which makes it easy to get connectivity, ubiquitous connectivity, everything can be IP connected. That's what's really driving the Internet of Things. It's an economic proposition, right? Prices are dropping, we can have more of it.
So we're going to all have the cheaper stuff that's scattered liberally around where we are and stuck on things, and then all this data starts to, I've got my hand waving my hands in the air, floats up out of these things.
Yeah, you're on the radio here, Mike.
That's right, yes. And then we get the floaty stuff of the data, and then what?
Well, so it's what you can do with that data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens?
What's the point of having data in the cloud if you don't do any analytics or some sort of advanced graphing tools with it? So basically the idea for ISS, what I was talking about is basically...
Sorry, ISS? That's not the space station?
No, not the space station. It will be taking the floating up, literally.
So what ISS means?
Intelligent System Service.
Yeah.
It's a service that's still in limited private preview at the moment.
Okay.
It will become public preview before Christmas, according to
And this is based on, or it's an extension of Azure? It's to the side?
It's built on Azure, right? So if you think of Azure as it's kind of a great big box into which there are all sorts of different services, and some of them are what you'd think of as very low-level services, like here's my credit card, give me a virtual machine.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are very high-level services, like give me your credit card, and here's like this thing which I can just take a hardware device and plug it into the cloud, and it'll do dashboarding and charting and predictive analytics and so forth.
Yep.
And so I think it's that real convergence of sort of the Moore's law mobility cheaper stuff, the cloud which gives us sort of unlimited processing power on tap, the ideas around big data and sort of the re-emergence of data science and the move of analytics from being sort of backward-looking to forward-looking, rather than tell me what's happened to tell me what will happen.
Yeah.
And they're all sort of combining together and getting sort of very grey and mucky. And if you think about a Fitbit, your Fitbit talks to my phone, which then talks to the cloud, right? And then there's data on it, and then that data is potentially shareable. Because I share my Fitbit data across a whole lot of other apps that let me compete with other friends, and we have tennis ladder for geeks. It really is sort of that munging together of many of these sort of the big trends and themes in modern ICT.
And where does that sit? And I suppose from your talk yesterday, Johnny, where do you see? I suppose the techies that are all here have got to start to get their heads around. We're going to be dealing with this, living in this. They're looking at you going, "Oh my lord, we're not ready for that."
Yep. So basically, ISS makes it easy for you to get started, right? So if you have a Raspberry Pi, if you got an Arduino chip that you want to connect up to the cloud, ISS gives you a client application that you can just pretty much copy and paste onto the chip, and then all of a sudden you have a piece of code that you can start calling methods into and say, okay, I want this piece of data sent up to the cloud, and then it goes into the system. Once you go into the system, it goes through a whole set of rules. There's the processing. So this is where the business side comes in. So if you got marketing managers who wants to manage campaigns, they want to kick off workflows after a certain bit of data come up. This is where you set it up.
Yeah.
And after that, you get the option of different storage. Going from Azure table storage, which is given to you by default, or if you got your own SQL Azure database or blob storage that you want to plug into, you can choose that. And after that, it comes out as an all data endpoint. So if you got Excel, everybody's got Excel, right? Open up Excel, you put in your all data endpoint, and then all of a sudden your device's data is now in a PC that salespeople can start using.
That's going to be overwhelming for salespeople. I can hear that coming.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only barely do my CRM.
So really the world is our oyster in terms of what we can connect. And we will connect everything from really tiny devices to really big devices.
So you guys playing with this stuff? I mean, we're looking at the box. Yeah,
we're doing some stuff to play. We're doing some stuff in anger as well, some of it we can't talk about yet. But some sort of the connected healthcare space.
Yep.
So if you think about sort of interesting healthcare devices and sort of supportive devices, how they can sort of start to be internet connected.
Yep.
And where that data goes in terms of the people looking after the devices, the people looking after themselves, and the people looking after the people.
Yes. So what we've got in front of us here then?
This is a Raspberry Pi, and this is a techie audience, so I'm going to assume that...
Oh, yeah. They'll all know. I'll
Yeah.
explain it to Raspberry.
All right, sweet. So this is the $35 chip that we get from out of the box, and this is a LCD display that I got for free. Had to write a review on it, and then they sent me this.
Oh, fair enough.
I'll use that.
I'll stick it with my Raspberry Pi. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is actually showing me all the data that's coming off this ultrasonic range sensor. Let me just take that off. It's got a blue tag on it.
Range sensor.
Think about it as sonar, right?
Oh, wow.
I got it from Radio Shack when I was over in the States. And
It's like two microphones, two little not eyes, but little eyes staring at me.
Yeah.
Microphones.
Yeah,
one on the left, one on the right.
It's like a dolphin, Mike.
It's like a dolphin.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an electronic dolphin.
yeah.
And hear it click.
So when you're working with this thing, you're actually doing like really low level stuff. Right? This plugs into the power on the Pi, and when you want to start measuring the distance, you send a high signal to it, and then it will start sending out a pulse.
Yep.
And then after a while, the pulse comes back.
Yep.
And then the pin. So after you send a high, it goes slow, and then once it starts sending the pulse, it goes high again. And then the moment the pulse comes back, it goes low. So you just have to measure the time it took from when the pin went high and when it goes low.
Cool.
And that's how you figure out the distance. Yeah.
And this, I mean, it's cheap as chips.
Yeah.
Well, free if you do a review. But, Raspberry Pi, what's a Raspberry Pi?
$35.
$35.
Yeah.
A box to stick it in.
This one over here is about, I think, $16 or $20.
Wow.
In Radio Shack.
Yeah.
The range sensor. So this is a really simple demo. I just wanted to show off the actual platform. So you can have anything here really. Think about humidity sensors, temperature sensors, some sort of pressure sensor, and you got all these. All you have to do is just format it in a way that the server-side platform understand, and you're up and running.
Yeah, if you want to see how cheap this stuff is, www.alibaba.com.
Yeah.
Seriously, and just go punch in like Arduino, Pi, and just have a look at how cheap some of the bits you can get are.
Wicked.
Because what that tells you, obviously, you build stuff out of some development boards and things, and that's not really going to go into production, except maybe if you're building something, a few hundred devices to use internally. But it gives you a good idea of what the bill of materials cost is going to be for some of these things that you might build. So for software, it's long been, if you can imagine it, you can invent it, and you can start a business around it. For hardware, it's always been, you've got to have a whole team of design engineers, leaky engineers, a whole bloody crew.
Yeah.
Right? What's happening now is sort of the whole software revolution is coming to the world of atoms. Right?
Yeah.
So if you could imagine it in software land, you could build it, and that's still the case. We're now in a stage where if you can imagine it in hardware land, you can prototype it, and you can get the man in, Shenzhen to build it for you. And you can fund it up on Kickstarter, and suddenly, startup land is coming to stuff other than just websites and apps.
So the maker worldview is starting to dribble into business worldview, if you like. I mean, it's a crossover, but the tinkerers that we had, we're now going, well, we could do this stuff not just because I want to have my hot tub talking, but I can do things and I have a business out of this, and away we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, great examples would be the bicycle power meter market. If you want to see a market that's gone from, very expensive, very sophisticated $4,500 units measuring the power output in your legs for bicycling, and there's probably been half a dozen new ones released just this week, some of which started as sort of open source projects or Kickstarter projects, and they're down now, sort of $300 or $400.
Wow.
And just continuing the march downwards. Right? So it really is this, that ability to innovate in software is now becoming an ability to innovate in hardware. Cheap electronics, 3D printing, prototyping mechanisms, cloud connectivity. Yeah. It's kind of exciting.
It is. And for, an Intergen, if you said most people Intergen, software, that's what they're going to think. But this is, you dabbling in this?
Solutions. Right? I mean, we build solutions. So if you think about what we do at Intergen, we do all sorts of software systems, say an ERP system, right?
Yep.
You know, it's like manufacturing or distribution. The Internet of Things basically provides stuff that's likely to bolt into those systems. Right? You know, so if you think of an ERP system, there's a good chance that many of the things that are going to connect to those ERP systems moving forward are IoT types of solutions.
And that must be exciting for you guys. There's a whole new, as you say, realm of, toy plane. It's like, oh, wow, we could take these boxes and hook them up to the systems and
See what happens.
Oh, yeah. I think we are really poising. We could do stuff like prototyping for people, right? We got a whole lot of these chips sitting in our office right now. And my colleague Don is using the embedded chips, the Arduinos, and a whole lot of these things. And I think we are really we're positioning in a way that we can start going to businesses and say, oh, if you got a whole lot of hardware that's sending up data to your local server, let's push it up to the cloud, right? We'll give you the expertise and then design the system for you.
Awesome. That's so different. That's so cool. Is that, and this goes back to my question, I suppose it sort of feels like the wave is breaking, as you say, all the things are starting to come together. Is this new in New Zealand, and specifically New Zealand, what you guys are starting to offer to the business?
I mean, it's new in the world in terms of the sort of the explosion. And it's really going to come in two sort of broad categories. One is people building stuff to sell, so building wearables, building home automation systems, building stuff for businesses. And then the other is businesses looking at, how can I take this technology and use it to improve what I do, smart vending machines, basically anything out there, any assets that you might have floating around that are currently unconnected, right, as a business, how can I take those assets and turn them into a connected asset? And that's what's the exciting stuff for someone like Intergen, because it's kind of like, we got all these other systems that sit in the back end that know all about these assets at the moment. At the moment, there's an air gap.
Yeah.
How do we close that air gap? How do we connect all these newly instrumented assets into your existing business systems?
Very cool. I'm going to ask the question that I've asked a whole bunch of people, and you guys are right for this.
Definitely maybe.
Definitely maybe. Perhaps tomorrow. I don't know, 5 years, 2 years, next week, what's the things that you want to get out of the Internet of Things? This is a personal question for you guys. What's the one thing you got, that's what I want? Now, we heard about the hot tub. Maybe that is what you want. You want your hot tub. What's the thing that will make you go, mate, if we can get there, I will be a happy person?
You can go first, John.
We've had robot dogs. So I don't know why someone with robot dogs. Time travel with somebody else. That could be not next week, maybe the week after. Or last week, actually, time travel. Maybe that. Yeah.
Maybe it's already happened.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's invite them next week. Right. So I've got a whole lot of things I got in my head right now that I really want to implement. But for me, the biggest thing is connected homes. Right. Just imagine opening my garage door as I drive up the driveway. It's only a button push, but I don't want to push that button. Right? I want to walk to my car, and then the door is just going to open.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to do an extra step of finding keys and pressing the remote. Right? So I just want that total integration between going from my house to work, so I don't have to do all these little things like security, and because my presence should be one of the...
It knows it's me, therefore
it's me.
Open.
Authentication
And don't just unlock, but open. Because you can do that,
Exactly.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
You have to be boring to say the same. So I want a smart home.
Yeah.
I want a smart home that learns about me and what I do and my behaviours, and looks at all of the other sources of data about my life, and helps to sort of help me make easy decisions to make life better. Whether that's helping me look after the environment, helping me look after, my finances in terms of saving me money. It's literally wire up the house, hot tub, pools, showers,
The whole kit and caboodle.
hot water,
Yeah.
the whole kit and caboodle. I think that the smart home will really land over the next 2 or 3 years.
And you were saying before that there's the data can help you with the now, but it's also then it can start to predict as it knows more about you. It's like you should start to think about these things. Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the key is this sort of the re-emergence, I'll call it re-emergence of sort of data science and predictive mechanisms, supervised, unsupervised machine learning. Again, it's stuff that we've been doing for a long time, but we're now sort of in a position to have sufficient data in electronic form to be able to make use of it. The problem with sort of data science was always that data was very expensive. Data was expensive because you had to have a fleshy thing to put the data in the machine, right? Now you don't have to have fleshy things to put the data in the machine because, Mike walks around with this bloody Samsung phone and it's probably got 20 sensors in it. So he's basically instrumented himself.
That's right.
Now that we can instrument the fleshy thing and capture the data automatically, data is cheap, and therefore we can now bring to bear some of these analytic tools.
Interesting when we talk about data, and you're right, absolutely correct in what you're saying there. Some of the skill sets to manage that within New Zealand we're discovering, and one of the things that we've been talking about on Access Granted is not just there's a lack of devs and the stuff that we all talk about and we need techies. Data analysis and data scientists are like hen's teeth at the moment, aren't they?
If you got kids, people, and they're at high school, they're about sort of 15, 16, tell them to do stats, tell them to go pretty hard, tell them to go to university, do a double major stats and information science, stats, computer science. It will be extremely employable.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a perfect call.
Exactly. And it's not just the analytical skills, but it's actually the creative skills. The biggest gap we've got at the moment around sort of data science is coming up with cool ways to use the technology.
So application, applying the data, you've had a good look at it.
Yeah,
right?
It's what cool ways could I use these tools? Because again, the tools are now really available, the data's now really available. Again, it comes back to that whole, if you can imagine it, you can do it. What we need is people with the data imagination to think about, what could I ask my data?
Brilliant.
I think one case study we kind of sort of mentioned is in ThyssenKrupp elevators. They are a big international elevator company, and the other guys that's actually doing the elevator up in the new World Trade Center in New York.
Yep.
So and then they're using intelligent system service to send diagnostic data from the elevators. And so right now what they can do is they can, I think there's I forgot what the actual sensors were, but I think there was a humidity sensor and also a vibration sensor to measure how smooth the elevators are. And from these values, they can start predicting whether the elevator is going to break down in, like, say, 3 weeks. Wow. And then so they actually have a system going where they can start sending out maintenance worker like a week before what's going to scheduled to break down.
Yes,
right.
scheduled.
So, not scheduled, but
yeah, I know you
mean, will. So that's really cool, right? So being able to do predicting the future.
Predicting the future, that's pretty amazing.
Well, it unlocks interesting new business models, right? So if you're an airline these days, you don't buy jet engines from GE. What you buy is, effectively, you buy thrust from GE. You buy hours of jet engine operating time. It's completely changing. We think of the whole software as a service model. Well, shit, now it's bloody jet engines as a service, or power stations as a service, right? Where these big big organisations who think, they make big capital assets and sell big capital assets. And actually now they make big capital assets and they effectively rent them to you as a service, sort of all in, fully operated, fully managed. And connected through the Internet of Things so that your jet engines are sending data off. And in fact, when that Malaysian Airlines plane crashed, some of the instrumentation data that they used to help track it was effectively IoT data coming off those jet engines.
Wow. Well, that's it. It's great. I appreciate your time coming in and jumping on our show.
Awesome.
Now, where can people find you on the internet, just if they want to find out more about you guys? Same Twitter handles.
Twitter, whack, CAULD, Charlie Alpha Uniform Lima Delta is probably the best way to find me.
Yeah.
Johnny?
Range DSP, RANGE DSP. Stands for Digital Signal Processor. I don't know why I picked that name.
I was wondering. I was like, why? Okay.
Exactly.
Perfect. We'd find out those. That's right. Yeah.
But otherwise, I can find me on a ski field or on a mountain bike track
Just yell, "Hey,
or something.
Well, surely we'll be able to track you some point, so we'll be able to find you exactly where you are.
Well, I can give you the tracking link. So yes. So I carry when I go adventuring, I carry a little satellite tracker beacon with me.
Oh yeah.
When I go out like solo mountain biking, I have a little beacon that basically tracks me and drops a point every 2 minutes on a Bing map. Actually uses the Iridium satellite network.
Yeah.
And again, that costs me, it was a couple of $100 for the device and $20 a month as a subscription. So it's all the downward march of
It is, isn't it?
technology.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in. Really appreciate it. As you say, exciting times.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Right, guys, that was a fantastic interview. I say Internet of Things.
Yeah.
They're doing some interesting stuff. So even the big companies are getting into Internet of Things and hacking and playing things.
Yeah, it's good to see from the small grassroots, you might
Yes.
want to say, and then to the big guys
Yeah.
having a go as well, having their own little incubators within big companies,
Yeah.
giving it a go.
So call to action, of course, is go to Twitter. You're all on Twitter and do a search for. Now, we've changed our hashtag.
We have indeed.
We are now hashtag Access Granted Podcast. Reason we did that is Access Granted is used by the world for lots of things.
Yes.
And we were pulling up a whole bunch of stuff that is not appropriate. So Access Granted Podcast is the hashtag now.
And it looks classier too. Now the stream looks a bit tidier.
Yeah.
Because it's only our stuff.
That's
Anyway,
right.
and a shout out to all those guys that have been following our Twitter posts and clicking through onto the hashtag me.co.nz website.
Wonderful.
Having a look at our nice streaming, and I've tidied up the copy now on the post, so it's a little bit nicer. Just saying.
Excellent.
Anyway, next week.
Who should we have on next week? We've got
We've got
a DK. No, we did DK last week.
DK
What
last
about?
week, yeah.
We've got Nathan Lin.
Nathan Lin, we have.
Yeah.
You spoke to him a while ago.
I did.
Yeah.
Who else have we got? That Rumi,
Rumi, we do.
Shafaz.
Yep,
And we've got one more tech head one, haven't we?
we do. I just got to find it.
We've got to find that one. How about we do Nathan
Nathan Lin next week.
next
Yeah.
week? So next week will be Nathan Lin. Fascinating, brilliant conversation here in Studio B, which is Golding's freedive, of course, that I had with him. It's particularly around why he does what he does.
Oh, yeah?
And it's not just about what he does. He talks about those, but why does he do it? Brilliant.
That's a good point. Why do we do half the things we do? Now, as always, don't take our jibber jabber as gospel. You can follow all the links on our Twitter stream on hashtag me.co.nz.
And on Twitter, you can look for me at Miramar Mike, and the Raj is at NZRaj, and you'll find all the daily hashtag Access Granted podcast updates. If you're desperate to email us, and some of you are, use Access Granted at hashtag me.co.nz. And obviously for all the hashtag goodness, such as the updates, news, and prizes. There's some great prizes that went up recently, I noticed.
Yeah, I saw some shiny things on the website.
There was very cool.
Yeah.
Go to the hashtag me.co.nz website.
And hey, thanks for your time, and see you next week, next Tuesday, with the Kiwi Tech News for those who make the computers do what they do. Ka kite anō.
#me.co.nz